What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports, and this is episode 28 of your sports sponsorship tip of the week. All right, we're getting live games back. We're rocking and rolling. We're getting inventory back. It's an exciting time. One of the big things, though, is we're going to have to really deal with, as I talked about last week, no fans in the stadium, some fans in the stadium, and how digital is really going to affect and engage that. So with our digital assets, a big question I've been getting is, how do I price it? How do I understand what a sponsor should pay for some of our Instagram posts, for some of our live streams, and things of that nature? The biggest, and this is the tip of the week, the biggest thing I can tell you is, again, when a sponsor is looking at where they're going to deploy their dollars, they're looking at efficiencies. A lot of times in sponsorship, our assets are very inefficient toward a goal, meaning they're very inefficient or very untrackable toward a goal of, let's say, a cost per lead compared to a Facebook campaign, or a cost per reach compared to an Instagram campaign, right? So as we look at our assets, what we should be doing is we should be understanding what the market rate for a similar ad product is, and then obviously understand that we have an emotional appeal. But I've said this before, sports teams are basically influencers. That's how we need to be thinking about our assets as we start to build them, is how does Kim Kardashian charge for her assets on social media? How does Cristiano Ronaldo charge for his assets on social media? So the tip of the week is this. There's going to be a large range of this, but I would really do some research as to what or how much influencers get paid on their cost per post. And there's going to be a large, amount of numbers, but this is going to tell you what the market is willing to pay. What brands are actually paying for a very similar post from influencers is going to be similar to what we're sort of going after. Just doing a bit of research, one website that I found was great. It broke it down by Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. Key thing there was Snapchat is a great resource if you have a following there, because the cost per post is going to be higher, a little bit more engagement. Not a lot of people have it on Snapchat, but if we look at Instagram, right, their rule of thumb is $10 per post for every 1,000 fans or followers that you have on Instagram. So if we're thinking, some of our minor league teams, 10,000 followers is not out of the realm for our posts there, right? So what we can do is say, hey, look, if we have 10,000 followers on Instagram, a post on Instagram is going to cost, $10 for every 1,000, $100, right? Now, whether we want to increase that, decrease that, but the nice thing there is when you go to a brand, they're going to understand that you're not saying, hey, it's $600 per post, whereas the market's way too high. You're also not coming in at a market price that's way too low. So again, we always want to be flexible kind of with these pricings and make sure they make sense. But the biggest thing is, again, you don't want to outprice yourself in the market. You don't want to underprice yourself in the market. But what you do want to do is have a brand start to think, you know what? Should I spend on this influencer or this other campaign on social media, or should I spend with your team? That's what understanding this pricing is really going to do for you. So as we look at it from a just cost per post, start to really understand and really look at how influencers are charging on that cost per post, and be able to create a package that then you can go in and charge similarly, because again, it's what the market is willing to pay for that product, for that post, for that advertising product. Much better than saying, hey, it's a $10,000 package, you get this many posts. You can actually reverse cycle it to get that brand to understand. But let's take this a step further. If you then understand, let's say you're doing a campaign that is allowing you to capture some leads for a brand, right? Then you need to look at your cost per lead. And you can look at the industry standard of what a cost per lead costs, let's say on a social media channel. And that's going to be industry, there's going to be difference within industry. Financial services, that's going to be a little bit higher on a cost per sort of acquisition, or a cost per lead. It's around $160. So backtrack that. If you get 2,000, signups and they're very good leads, and you can put that toward financial, banks, insurance, whatever that is, you can look and correctly price that product based on what they're paying elsewhere. different for car, different for other B2B services, obviously different for retail. But if you can look at that cost per lead, then you can understand again, what are your brands paying elsewhere, and how can I be in that equation and speak the same language? So again, longer tip of the week this week, but I think it's very vital as we've all built now digital assets that we want to go sell. And again, the question I get asked, especially at Squad with our activations, is what should I charge for this? A lot of times we'll look at the sponsor, we'll look at the industry, and we'll look what people are paying on a cost per post as well as a cost per lead basis, and we're able to create a package that's not leaving too much money on the table, but not so high that we can't price it. So tip of the week is this: start to really understand how influencers are charging per post. Also understand how Facebook ads charge for a cost per lead, and what is that cost per lead in the industry, because then you can speak that language. Hey, look, usually my cost per lead is going to be $60, but with you it's $50. I'm going to go with you more than someone else. You're only dropping it maybe $10. Or flip that, hey, usually it's $60, but your fan base is so crazed, so impassioned towards your sports team, I'll pay $70. You see that, how that math and that thinking can go there? Now you can have a real conversation with that sponsor about their goals, if it's cost per lead, if it's cost per post because they're trying to get reach. So that's the tip of the week this week. Make sure you're not leaving money on the table as you look at pricing for those social assets. Make sure you're looking at other industry benchmarks, especially for influencers and how they're charging. Thanks so much for tuning in. Everybody stay healthy. Remember, keep pushing those limits within sports sponsorship.